move on to our Lifetime Achievement Award. As you can see, our award winner this evening is Frank Oetlinger of Blinking Systems. I have been told that if Thomas Edison was called the Wizard of Menlo Park, then Frank Oetlinger of Blinking Systems should be considered the Wizard of Grafton. Today it is my special honor, along with the help from my friends John Nickerson and his colleagues at Box, to announce and to celebrate Frank Oetlinger as our 2023 IADD Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Frank Oetlinger was born and raised with his 6 siblings in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He started his first business, Oetlinger Tool, in the basement of his home in 1979. By 1981, he had outgrown his basement and found his next stop to be a location in an empty warehouse in Milwaukee that used to be an old tool and die shop. He was able to do all sorts of machine work here, including building steel blinking frames for their customer, Beck Carton, which we'll wrap back to them later. In the 1990s, Frank moved into a new location, the village of Grafton, where he had an opportunity to secure land for $1. It was here that he was able to make good on his word and develop a plan to include a campus of buildings that support what is now multiple business of Frank's: Oetlinger Precision Manufacturing Company, Blinking Systems, and Control Dynamics Framing Systems and Glove. Oetlinger Precision Manufacturing Company, originally Oetlinger Tool, started in 1979. It was an ISO certified company that produced large and small machine parts for companies in the heavy equipment, aerospace, marine, and print industries, as well as intricate parts for pharmaceutical companies and NASA. They also had successful niche divisions for buildings and repairing spindles and bearings. OPMC was sold a few years back to Wisconsin Precision, which still remains on campus today. Blinking Systems has been at the forefront of blinking station innovation and folding carton industry since introducing its very first product in 1995, the CL1 presser. Today, their product line includes pressers, tool design software, the angle lock blinking tool system, along with other specialized machinery used to produce blinking tools. Control Dynamics was launched in 2003. They manufacture precision-engineered structural aluminum products that are the epitome of quality, strength, and value. Their mission is to provide a more versatile alternative to traditional T-slat structural aluminum systems, further expanding the potential of aluminum as preferred material for structural applications. Now I will ask JD to get up here and we'll do the video from Box and ask for JD's help to explain the products much better than I could. And also wrap back to Beck Carton, explain how that was the beginning of a beautiful relationship between Box and Frank. So if we could start.
Hello everybody, my name is Alex Follery. I'm the director of the tooling division at Bobst, and I wanted to take this opportunity to say hello to you, dear IADD members, as well as to my good friend Mr. Frank Oetlinger, who will receive his award. So in the name of Bobst as a company, I wanted to congratulate Frank. I think this award is more than deserved. I think that's not even representing what Frank means for our industry. Frank has been working with Bobst for the best part of 40 years. Started on folder gluers at Beck Packaging, modifying some of the Bobst folder gluers. Of course, in Switzerland we were proud enough to say that it was not as good as what we did. It took us a while to understand that it was as good, or probably even better in some cases. So this is how we got together with Frank in the first place. And then after Frank, of course, developed something that everybody knows as the BSI angle lock technology, which is something that is standard on Bob's machine for the last few years. First time I met Frank was in 2005 in Atlanta. I will remember that all my life. We ended up smoking a cigar with a nice whiskey in a pub in Atlanta, which was a great chance to catch up with him. And since then, we have been in contact together from time to time. A little bit more since the last 5 years when I took over the tooling division. And now we can proudly say that his technology, what he did for the industry, is proven in the market on every machine we have in the world. And we will continue to do so with the latest technology and discussion we have had. So let me try just to follow me. I will show you an example of what I mean. Here we are in the middle of the Competence Center in Bob's, Switzerland, our demo center, where we welcome our customers. And as you can see, there is Frank stuff more or less everywhere. There is a good example here of what Frank has designed with the latest PC blanker and the tool stand frame to manufacture blanking tools. So again, this is a good example on how Frank and his team and his family have transformed the die making industry, not only in the US, but everywhere in the world. And again, I take this opportunity to thank you, Frank, and the BSI entire team for what you have done for our industry and what you will continue to do in the future. So once again, very well deserved award for you. Congratulations, and see you very soon. Thank you.
Okay, get ready, Frank. I only have 5 minutes. We'll see. That was Alex Hollery. He's actually my boss, one of my bosses in Europe. I have a few bosses. He's one of them in Europe. He used to be a technician here in the States. And now the tables have turned, and I report to him instead of him reporting to me. It's a little bit strange. Anyways, so Frank, if you're a die maker here in this room, whether you know it or not, what Frank has done has benefited you all. If there's any carton converters in here, of course, the things that Frank does in his company benefit you as well. If you're a machine manufacturer like we are, of course, we benefited from everything that Frank has done over the last 4 decades, almost 4 decades. I think it's 30 years. The type of person Frank is, I mean, I've known Frank for a long time. I think I was around 22 or 23 years old when I met him. I'm 33 now, so it's a long time. If you need something, he's there for you. If you have an idea you want to bounce off of somebody, he's there for you. If you want to paint your house, he's there for you. He paints your house. He climbed up on the high street. I didn't want to go there. If you've seen the video of Frank driving his tank when they're crushing cards for cancer, and you see someone in the back end of the tank, you should ask him who that is. It's not me. It's how old was that kid, Frank? In the back of the tank? 17-year-old kid. Ask Frank about that kid. It'll tell you a little bit about the type of guy that Frank is. So, around 1982 and 1983, when I started working for Bob's, I actually started before that, but I'm going to use 82, 83. We were making a ton of blanking tools for 102 CER machines. And like Jennifer said, Frank was making tools already for bed carpets. And how we met Frank? We met Frank around 1985, and kind of a haphazardly way, through Beck Carton with this guy, Tim Wayman, we met Frank. Frank developed some things for Beck Carton that Bob's couldn't do at that time, or wouldn't do, or couldn't do, but Frank developed something for Beck Carton. And it was simple, it's a simple device. It was a pressing device for the delivery belt that pressed the cartons longer and harder as they were delivered on the delivery belt so that the cartons would stay closed and gave the glue time to dry longer. Frank developed a system for that. We couldn't do it, but he did it for Beck Carton. Beck Carton, long story short, sent us the invoice to pay for it. That's how we met Frank. And it's a little bit longer story than that, but that's how we met Frank. And I can only imagine where we would be if that didn't happen, if Beck Carton didn't send the invoice to Bob back in the early days. Where would we be today with the innovations that he has done for Bob's? So we met Frank around 1985, 1986, like I said, through Beck Carton. And during that time, we knew Frank was making blanking tools, and we were making blanking tools in-house. And it was taking us forever. I mean, it would take us a week or longer to make a blanking tool. And with Frank, and even Russ was probably about 12 years old when I met him. He was working for Frank. He didn't care about labor laws, didn't matter. Frank, he had Russ working there. And we made about 300 blanking tools over the years. We made about 300 blanking tools together. So during this, and it was during this time, and we worked with this guy, Fred Iser. I don't know if people here remember Fred. I know Derek remembers Fred Iser. And him and Frank were good friends too. And we had like our own R&D department with Frank and his company. And what we couldn't get done at Bob's because we were this massive company in New Jersey. There was about 600 people working there. We couldn't get anything done in a timely manner, so we went to Frank, and Frank was like our R&D company for many, many years. And we worked on many projects together. We developed the flat top blanking tool kit, which was used for a very, very long time. Pressers, pressers for blanking tools, the pressing devices for the gluers, right? On all Bob's gluers now today, is a pressing device in the delivery belt. It comes from Frank. Folding plows, pocket folding device on folded gluers. Whoever knows how a folded gluer works, and there's a pocket folding device, it comes from Frank. Frank developed the backfold device, patented it, and we bought it from Frank. And this is the same backfold device that you see on folded gluers today. It's the same one. We just bought the patent from Frank. I don't know if Frank remembers, on the old 102s, with vacuum pump, we pick up the sheets and feeder via, with this vacuum pump, we couldn't pick them up fast enough to run faster. We developed a new device for the vacuum pump. I don't know if Frank even remembers that, but he did that for us so we could run faster on the old machines. So back in the 80s, Frank incorporated his company way back then, and his business grew, and it grew more and more, and he was making some good stuff, right? He could make stuff faster and better than we could ourselves in our own machine shop. And Frank remembers, I almost got fired a few times because I would send work to Frank and not give it to our own machine shop because Frank could do a better job and faster. Right? Remember Frank? Such a people. And I'm still here. So he does a very, very good job. And the only thing I heard from Frank's mouth was precision all the time. John, you have to be precise. You're making precision parts. Everything has to be precise. So we pushed lots of products Frank's way. He understood what we needed. He was innovative. He looked for better ways to manufacture stuff. He looked for ways better than we could manufacture it. He made things better. He has over 200 patents. Frank has over 200 patents in his name. I could be wrong, maybe it's a little bit more, but it's around 200 patents. A lot of them in the folding carton business. So, at some point during our relationship, we decided in New Jersey to stop manufacturing. closed our machine shop. It was hard to manufacture and build die cutters and gluers in the state of New Jersey. It was very expensive, so we moved it to other countries and we closed our shop. In the meantime, Frank was getting a lot of work from us. So Frank showed up one day with 9 tractor trailers that were empty and bought every single machine that we had in the machine shop. Boring mills and lathes, milling machines, you name it, Frank took it. He showed up with some guy named Corky and he took every machine out of the machine shop, 9 tractor trailer loads. I don't even know where those machines are today. We probably still have some. I don't know. So, like I said, we made over 300 blanking tools together. And at one point, we stopped supplying blanking tools to the industry because we were supplying them with new machines. Every time we sold a 102, we sold a 104, we supplied blanking tools, Frank would make them for us. At one point, we stopped because everyone was making blanking tools, die makers were making blanking tools. They were still time consuming. They would take a week, longer than a week to make. They were very expensive. And Frank says to me, he goes, well, I have an idea. And if it's okay with Bob's, I'd like to pursue it. And we were like, okay, whatever, do what you want. You do what you want. In the meantime, we were still giving him parts to make for us. And it was a pretty big business for Frank. And we didn't hear from Frank for a couple of years regarding blanking tools. All was quiet. And then one day he calls me up and says, I want to come back to New Jersey. And he shows up with his Engelbach system. And he showed it to us. And we loved it. Right? We can make a blanking tool now. Instead of taking a week, we can make it in less than a week. And we said, I remember talking with Frank about making a bender, like a rule bender, but for a bender for blanking tools. And I remember he made one and he wasn't too keen on making them. But if I look today, there's more than 85 BSI benders in the world. Before I retire, I think we're going to make it to 100. I know that there's going to be 2 going before the year is up. So I'm sure we're going to make 100. So Frank has changed the industry of making blanking tools from going from more than a week to less than a week to a few days to now just a few hours for die makers that are using his system and using the software the correct way and using all the tools like the BSI bender to make a few blanking tools in a few hours. So we go from weeks to hours, all because of this guy sitting right over here and his inventions. Some of them are the Engelbach, which everyone knows, right? It's a trade name, Engelbach. The grid bender, the phased in, tool designer software. Without the software, we couldn't do what we do. The software is the key to everything. Some of the other things in Europe, you guys don't know about this, but in Europe, we use blanking tools called quick set blanking tools. Quick set blanking tools, which is like a flat top tool. Here in North America, in the early years, we developed flat top blanking tools, which now have evolved to the Easy Blanker. The Easy Blanker is a new type of blanking tool that we're making that we do announce this year. There's a hybrid blanker. A hybrid blanker is something that's supplied with it's not supplied with every new machine, but it's an option on new machines. So hybrid blanker is utilizing the BSI technology that Frank patented. We use the same components in that device that are used in blanking tools, so it's all compatible. We can now mount blanking tools in the machine without frames, right? The frame is a permanent part of the machine. Like I said, we were making tools change from weeks to days to hours. Over 200 patents he's developed. He's really an innovator in our industry. He's helped everyone from machine manufacturers to die makers to customers and end users. So let's fast forward to 2023. I did some checking. I his objection. And I can only go back as far as 1997, even though I know we started in the 80s. About $53 million have passed through Bob's hands through these companies. About $53 million has passed from us to him. That's pretty impressive, right? That's pretty impressive. So that's affected customers, time makers. It's improved our machines, OEE, and for those of you that don't know what OEE means, it's overall equipment efficiency. It's really improved the way our customers do business. If you look at on a 40-inch machine, more or less, that sheet's worth $1. He's improved the machine running speed by thousands of sheets per hour. That's thousands of dollars per hour for each machine that we have in the market. We have more than 10,000 machines in the United States. So it's a big number. He's improved the livelihood of all of us in this room, of all our customers, allowing us to get paychecks and allowing all our customers' employees to get paychecks. Because at the end of the day, it all matters how many sheets are passed through the machine. He has helped us and our customers pass more sheets through the machines than anybody else. So, like I said, we've been doing business with Frank for 4 decades. I've known this guy for 40 years, 39 years. Frank is a constant source of ideas. He's been a mentor to me for 40 years. I look up to him. He's a mentor to me, and I'm sure to others. He's known and respected by all of Bob's. Everyone who works for Bob's knows of Frank. Everyone knows of his company. He's personally friends with Jean-Pascal Bob's, right? The owner of our company. He's a great friend. He's a great colleague. His systems are known worldwide. Angle-like systems are known worldwide. They're used in every country. If you don't use this stuff, shame on you. It's just costing you more money than it is. There's more than 175,000 frame kits alone in the United States that have passed through my hands. I don't know how many they sold directly, but 175,000 came through Bob's. And like I said, more than 85 grid vendors. And I'm almost done. And as Frank says, his stuff is just everywhere. We have more projects coming. I look forward to working with Frank in the future. We have lots of things going on right now between Bob's and his company. Working with Frank's company has been a privilege. I never would imagine that 4 decades later I'd be here, giving Frank an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, when 4 decades ago we were drinking brandy and Coke into my house. I never thought that we would be here today. So after that, it's been a privilege. I'll turn it back over to Jennifer and let her present some words to Frank.
Well, thank you, Katie, and to all of our friends at Bob's, but I especially want to thank you, Frank. When I spoke to Frank to notify him that he had won this award, he was immediately gracious and humble. As I learned of his accomplishments and really began to understand just how much he had done, not only for our industry, but for so many others as well, I really was in awe. When he recapped his journey, he skimmed over quite a few of the accomplishments. But it was clear that the man never stops. He stated multiple times, we just kept going. We never stop with new innovations because there are always new challenges. I asked him what his favorite part of all of his journey has been so far. He stated with a smile, and yes, I could hear that smile, that it was meeting new friends. He had traveled worldwide and made friends all along the way. These days, though, mainly he's happy with the travel coming to him, and says he's happy having guests stay in Grafton for weeks at a time with training. Frank is happily married with 2 daughters and 6 grandchildren. His wife Barbara and daughter Sarah are here with us tonight to help celebrate. As if Frank did not keep busy enough with things, It would be a crime not to bring up his serving on multiple different boards, including the Industrial Tech Department at their local high school. BSI has shown enormous generosity donating CNC machines as well as 100 seats of SolidWorks CAD software to their local middle school and high schools. And if for whatever reason, any of you still had any inkling of a doubt whether Frank deserved this award or not, let me just remind you, Frank has a king. And he puts it to great use, crushing cars in the name of cancer, doing benefit work for St. Jude. I think it's beyond clear that there is no question that you are very deserving of this award, Frank. So on behalf of the entire association, I would like to present to you the IADD Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thanks, John. Bob's has a warm place in my heart. And anyway, what I say is, the reality is I am a dreamer. I'm just a dreamer. But the difference is I have realizers. Okay? What realizers are people that help me realize my dreams. Klaus Kempka is one of my biggest fans. Anyway, so it's not just me. I mean, this thing here really needs to be shared by a whole pile of people. Okay, not just me. Because it's just a lot of people that contribute to this whole thing. There's an awful lot to it. An awful lot of time, a lot of passion. And anyway, this is like, so, I don't know what to say. It's just too much. So,
Say thank you.
everybody.
Awards dinner. I want to thank you all for taking the time to share your evening with us. And there will be some time for photo opportunities and for you to congratulate the recipients.